Hi, I'm Jamie Van Cuyk, and I am the owner of Growing Your Team. Small business owners hire us to guide them through the process of hiring contractors and employees so they don't have to go through a hiring and firing cycle.
I won't be defined by your dreams, committed to my goals, yeah. Gotta do my own thing, keep up the hustling. I won't be defined by your dreams, committed to my goals, yeah. Gotta do my own thing.
Hi, welcome to Hustleburg. Thank you for sharing your time with us as we chat with entrepreneurs here in St. Petersburg, Florida. We talk about how they got started, how they built their business, and how they serve our community. I'm Brett Bittner, and I'm the host of Hustleburg, and I started Beyond Your Side Hustle because I found that most entrepreneurs lack the time and expertise to build their own digital marketing strategy and still get results. As an entrepreneur here in St. Pete myself, I love meeting and talking with fellow small business owners about what they do and sharing that conversation with you. Now, you may have noticed a few changes with the podcast lately. One of the biggest is that we're now doing video. So if you're only listening to this episode, whether it's on your favorite podcast player, radiostpete.com, or Sunshine 96.7 FM, please know that this episode and all future episodes are available for you to view on YouTube and beyondyoursidehustle.com. Just visit beyondyoursidehustle.com/YouTube to subscribe or to watch your favorite episode of Hustleburg. If you find anything of value in this episode, I encourage you to subscribe. And if you would, also rate and review the episode as well, because it sends us the right signals to know how the conversations add value for you. Finally, if you're interested in being a guest in an upcoming episode and you own a small business here in St. Pete, let us know by visiting beyondyoursidehustle.com/podcast guest. So, Jamie, why are you helping fellow business owners grow their team? How is it that this is kind of why you choose to serve the business community in this way?
Yeah, so it was kind of a long story that brought me there, and I'll give you the abbreviated version.
Okay.
I started a separate business with my husband, quickly realized it wasn't for me, and realized also during that time that I loved consulting. And I had a membership from the other business to the St. Pete Chamber of Commerce. And I was like, well, let me go and use this membership, talk to business owners, find out really where I can put my expertise with consulting. What do people need? What are people looking for? And I kept finding myself speaking to small business owners that were telling me they never had to hire someone until they were doing it within their own business,
Okay.
or they hired when they were in corporate, but they're realizing now that they had this huge support structure in corporate that now they don't have. They have no idea how to write job postings. They have no idea really how to figure out exactly what they need in terms of a position and who's going to be successful. And they were asking for help. And when I tried finding, just wanted to be a helpful person, I was like, let me research people for you. And like I'll refer you. I couldn't find anyone that was really helping small business owners make those good hiring moves and decisions when they were hiring some of their first team members. Everyone was speaking to companies with 50 plus employees. But how do
Right.
you get to 50 plus employees if you can't hire those first few employees well?
Sure. And when you're coming from being a solopreneur and you're adding those first team members, you really have to make sure that you're hitting a lot of home runs or at least getting some extra base hits with those hires. Because if you're striking out, man, it's really going to set you back and you may not even be a solopreneur for long.
Right. Yes. Yeah, they're important because they're taking a lot of your time. So you need to make sure they're good team members.
So, how is it that you serve the business community? I mean, obviously, you're helping them hire, you're helping them with job postings. Would you find or would you classify yourself more as like an HR consultant or a recruiting consultant or some sort of hybrid of the two?
Yeah, so if I had to classify myself at one, it'd probably be more on the recruiting side.
Okay.
Only because with my company right now, we don't handle a lot of the HR policies and procedures and a lot of those things that you think of that you would normally go to your HR team for.
Sure.
We are solely focused on getting the right people on your team. However, at the same time, I say we are very different than your typical recruiting company, because a typical recruiting company, they pride themselves on, we have this huge bank of people that we can reach out to. And I'm like, no, like that normally doesn't work out. What you need for your business is so specific that we give you the steps and tools to find the exact person you need. Because someone could have a bank of 50,000 potential job candidates, and if none of them are right for your position, who cares?
Right.
So
It's
we're
not
like,
helpful at all.
yeah, so we're like, we help you find the exact person you need and not just pair you with the best that we might happen to have on a list.
So we're not setting HR policies. So this isn't an outsourced HR kind of a thing. Not really recruiting. I would kind of look at it like the search firms that universities and pro sports teams utilize to find their next head coach kind of a thing. Is that kind
Yes.
of a good
Yeah,
way to
I
describe
would
it?
say, yeah, a lot like that. We're really digging in, finding out exactly what people need, and then helping them find that right person with all the candidates that are out there, giving them the tools, really digging down and dirty into the details of the positions.
Now, you talked a little bit about what inspired you to do this. Did you find that there were a bunch of people in your network that needed kind of the steps for somebody going from solopreneur status to somebody with a team?
Yes, I did. I found that a lot of people in my network they had these goals of creating these businesses that were much bigger than themselves. And they kind of saw hiring as an easy thing until they were
Right.
in doing it. And then they were like, oh my goodness, I'm going through new hires like crazy. Like, what is going on? And the problem is they were blaming it on the candidates. They were blaming it on the new hires,
Ah,
thinking that this is like people just aren't dedicated to the roles. Nobody is a good worker. What happened to work ethic? And like we would talk about it and realize it's not that they're hiring bad people or bad
right.
workers. They were just hiring someone that wasn't actually a fit for their position.
Got it. Now, what were you doing before this to kind of give you the background to really set yourself up for success in this type of endeavor?
Yeah, so everyone asked that question and just assumed that I came from HR. And I didn't. I actually came from corporate leadership. So I was
Okay.
on the teams, like doing the hiring and making the hiring decisions and conducting the interviews in corporate. And I worked for a larger marketing company. And during that time with that company, my team was pretty stable, or if I was losing team members, they were being promoted within the company. So I did have to
Okay.
do some interviewing and everything for my own team, but some of my peer managers, their teams weren't as stable. And I would a lot of times have extra time and they didn't, because they were busy putting out fires, and they'd be like, I need help. I need help interviewing so I can pick the next person for my team. And I'd be like, well,
Sure.
I'll help you. So I got used to interviewing candidates for other people
Okay.
and really finding out, okay, what matters about those accounts, and just learning how to communicate, okay, why this person would be a good candidate for them and their position. And then because I was doing that, I got selected for, all of a sudden we were adding 18 new positions at once. And they wanted everyone starting on the same day. And they're like, can you
Okay.
help us figure out this process? How are we going to get enough candidates in the door, enough resumes reviewed, enough interviews scheduled so we can select 18 candidates at once? And so during that project, I worked alongside our HR team to really figure this out. And so it was during that process that I was able to learn a lot about the HR side of hiring and everything they
Right.
do during the process, because I was helping them out. And then being able to now take that and translate it to what small businesses need. Because even though at the end it produces the same thing, a new employee, things are a little bit different and operate a little bit differently in small businesses.
You know, what I see with a lot of people who talk about HR as a whole entity is that it really does need to be split up a little bit more. You need to kind of move the administrative HR stuff kind of more toward finance so that you can focus on the leadership aspect and finding the right fit for the team and the like, and make that the focus of human resources, because that's really what you need to be focused on there. And then, kind of push the paper in another department. And so I think this is fantastic that that's the way that you're looking at things. So a business that is going to be the most helped by growing your team, What does that business look like?
Yeah, so typically the businesses we serve, it's anything from the solopreneur who's looking to form that first long-term relationship up to businesses that have about 10 employees, but they're realizing they're
Okay.
still going through this hiring and firing cycle, that they just don't feel like they got the entire method down. And those are the clients that we typically work with. Typically, most of our clients have tried to hire before, so they
Okay.
realize that what they're doing is not perfect. There's something wrong. There's something that they could be doing better. And typically, those businesses have also worked with someone else, like a coach or a consultant elsewhere in their business. So they understand the value of input and not so much like a lot of the things we do, we do some recruiting, but a lot of what
Right.
we're doing is guidance and education and teaching you how to do it right while we're guiding you through the process so that way you can repeat it again. So we like working with the business owners are saying, I really need to learn this. I need to figure
Right.
out this hiring process because I know that as my business grows, there's going to be more opportunities for me to hire and I want to know how to do it right every time.
Now, you being a small business owner yourself, I imagine that you have many resources at your disposal that are helping you build, growing your team, and growing your team. So, what do you use? Are there books, podcasts, video series, a course, business coaches? We've had a lot of people talk about the green light and a lot of the things that are here in town. What is it that's really helping you growing your team?
Yeah. So when I first started going through the programs and everything that they have in the greenhouse here in downtown was fantastic. I went through the Entrepreneurship Academy there, and I still involved in some of their alumni network and everything, where we meet once a month and talk about business and different things. And that was definitely fantastic of helping to get everything up and off the ground. The other thing that I'm a part of that's mostly local is Babe Crafted. It's
Okay.
Tampa Bay area. So there's a lot of people from St. Pete, Tampa, and now they're expanding digitally as well. And it's a group of women business owners. And there's a lot of us that are in this kind of like same growth phase of our business and scaling phases of our business. And it's a fantastic resource. They do like different seminars and trainings and teaching and everything, but it's this great community where if you have a question, you can go and get support and get answers and people guide you. And it's just this collaboration within that group is fantastic. One of the things that when I tell people about it, they'll look at the directory and be like, well, there's already someone in my niche in that group. And I was like, that's
Right.
more of a reason to join. This is not where people are like cutthroat competitive. It's how can we build other and even support people that are serving the same customers. We know that, you know, when you support each other and lift each other, you do overall.
So, what would you say is the most important lesson that you've learned thus far with growing your team? And listeners and viewers in the Hustleburg community know that I'm not looking for kind of a textbook lesson because a lot of the things that I'm talking about are what people would describe as failures. I don't think that I've ever failed more, that I've learned a ton of lessons. So, what is the most important lesson that you've learned thus far with growing your team?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest lesson is if you build it, they will come is a complete
Right.
myth. Like, don't be thinking about that. That does not happen in business. When I first was forming the business, I was still figuring out exactly how I was going to help people and figured, well, if I put out content about hiring, about leadership, about, you know, team building, that people would come to me and tell me what they needed. And then I would create like a proposal based on what they needed. And that
Right.
didn't work. I really needed to become very clear about what I had to offer, what my packages were, and then communicate those to people to get clients versus people just telling me what they needed.
It's funny. I think it was when we were talking with Blush Tea. They were talking about the whole, if you build it, they'll just show up. Well, I've created a business. Why don't I have customers?
Mhm.
That's oftentimes a lot of the things that we see. People have put a whole lot of thought into how they're going to operate, but they haven't actually considered how they're going to let the community know that they're even there.
Right. Yeah. And even if people know who you are, they don't necessarily know what your business has to offer them. So they might
Right.
love you as a person and want to support you. But if you're not being clear and communicating what your business does, they don't know if they need you. They don't know to refer you to other people. So it's like having to really learn of, I need to be vocal and tell people what it is I'm doing, how I can serve people, because otherwise they don't know.
Oh, you're exactly right. Now, what are some of the most inspiring things that you've had the opportunity to work on within the community?
Yeah. So with this, I'll take this away from really what I do with my business and more on a personal side. I have been
Okay.
involved with the Ronald McDonald House Charities for 10 years now. Started off with their young professional group, the Red
Okay.
Shoe Council, moved up to the president of that group. And for the past 2 years, going on 3 years, I've been a part of their advisory council. And now I'm chairing the advisory council. And seeing the impact that that organization has on families. If you don't know, they have 4 houses in the Tampa Bay area, 3 that are in St. Pete near All Children's Hospital. And just hearing the stories of some of the families that are going through there that are having to travel into town, or there was one family that was staying there that was here, they were on the beach area and their son got hit by a car, and you're on
Oof.
vacation, you're away from home, and all you can
Right.
care about is focusing on your child and are they getting the right medical treatments and everything. And the Ronald McDonald House gives them a place to stay, food to eat, and other services. So they don't have to worry about that. And just seeing that impact and what makes on the community, on these families, and what some people don't know is at all children's, they actually have even a day use program. So sometimes if you're a local family, you might not need a place to stay, but you
Right.
might need a place to get some of those like at home type services
Sure.
when you just need a break to step away. And they're able to offer that too, so local families who have children in the hospital can use some of the services as well.
Now, how is it that you are building your brand to tell people what you do, and how you can help them, how you can serve them, that makes you the choice for those who are looking to scale their existing business as they move beyond the solopreneur or they get employees number 3, 4, 5, up to 10? How is it that you're making you, from a marketing perspective and telling your story? How are you building that brand?
Yeah, so for me, it's all about visibility. One of the things I
Okay.
found with my business is people don't know, like small businesses don't know that there's people there to guide them and support them through this. They think HR and these talent acquisition firms and recruitment firms and everything is things for bigger businesses. So that
Right.
was like one of the things that I had, like my biggest challenge was letting people know that this type of service even exists for businesses of the size. So the way I did it with my business was going on people's podcasts, like this, doing different speaking
Sure.
events. I now have my own podcast, but just anything that I can go and get in front of different audiences, mostly, especially this last year, everything being done in a digital virtual format. So it's been a lot of podcasts, really focusing on my own podcast, speaking at summits, speaking for local groups, and even groups across the country that need speakers to come in and speak virtual about topics that are around people growing and scaling their business. So just finding those opportunities to get in front of the right audience.
Now, in your wildest dreams, where is it that you want to take growing your team?
Yeah, so my vision for the company is to have it to continue grow, where right now I'm the lead strategist. I'm working with all the clients hands on, but to eventually have a team of people like me, a team of
Sure.
people that are guiding these small business owners through the process of hiring and identifying the right people. So just growing it so it's a large team. So we are helping people nationally with this part of their business. Eventually maybe moving into one of my one of my dreams that I have, and I keep thinking about, okay, when is that going to fit into the plan? Is possibly even creating a specific job board for small businesses.
Okay.
So, really helping with that as well, because there are a lot of job boards out there. I do research all
Right.
the time to figure out which the job boards are, but sometimes the ones that target small businesses aren't actually financially feasible for small
Right.
businesses. So having create one that really helps small businesses get their positions out there in front of people that want to support local, that want to work local in a way that benefits both the candidates and the small business financially.
Now, how much would you say that you're working in the day to day of your business? You mentioned you're the lead strategist. You're doing a lot of the work anyway when it comes to the work that growing your team does versus the time that you spent on your business to develop and grow toward that wildest dreams, I've done it with growing your team?
Yeah, so that is a great question. And it's one that probably right now it's uh, 75% working in the business,
Right.
25% if I'm lucky for that much working on the business. What surprises people right now is I'm still technically a solopreneur. I'm a team of one. I
Sure.
teach people about how to grow their teams, but one of the things I always say is we need to grow your team strategically and we don't put in positions until you need the position. So
Right.
for a lot of things I do work with sometimes for one-off contractors and things like that, but right now my business doesn't need some additional person in the business. So, in terms of when I said working with all the clients is me, doing a lot of those other things is me for this time being. So, it does involve a lot of time in the business, but I love the work I do. So, I know that it's going to be one of those things that to be honest about things it's going to be hard for me to step away from creating the strategies, researching interview
Sure.
questions, writing job postings, working directly with the clients because I love that work. But I know eventually to meet my goals, it is going to be a requirement where I'm going to have to say goodbye to that and trust my team once I have one to do that on my behalf.
Jamie, are you from St. Pete?
I am not.
Okay.
I
Where'd you
am
move from?
Yeah, I am originally from Western New York. So I grew up in the
Okay.
Finger Lakes area, just south of Rochester, New York. Came down to Tampa Bay for college. So I went to the University of Tampa. And then probably about a little over a year after I graduated from University of Tampa, moved over to the St. Pete side of the bridge. And now I've been here in St. Pete for a long time.
Now, when you aren't working on growing your team, what are some of your favorite things to do in and around town?
Yeah, so we definitely like to support local as much as possible. So going around and even walking around St. Pete, going into the different shops, trying out new restaurants and everything around there is things we love. Obviously, this last year it's been a little bit more abbreviated as we've made the
Sure.
decision to stay home a lot to protect some of our elderly family and everything around us. So one of the other things that we love to do as a family that unfortunately has been put on hold and we're hoping to get back soon is going rock climbing. We love vertical ventures, and we were so happy when the St. Pete location opened up. Our oldest
Nice.
daughter was a part of their kids' rock climbing club, which made it so
Okay.
we went to the gym all the time to
Sure.
drop her off or just get some extra climbs in. So, like I said, with most things, we had to put that on hold due to the coronavirus, but we're hoping to get back into the gym soon and start doing that again.
Now, what are some of your other favorite local businesses that you like to support?
Yeah. So some of the other ones that we love is for coffee shop. I love Craft Cafe. I'm
Okay.
right by the one near 66 inch Central. So we were just there
Nice.
yesterday grabbing things
Okay.
for like late breakfast, early lunch, and love visiting the one downtown whenever I was able to get up to that one when I was still doing in-person coffee meetings with people. And
Right.
then the other new business that we love and we've given a lot of business to lately is Book and Bottle in St. Pete.
Okay.
So if you haven't been to that one yet, it's the wine bar slash bookstore and love it. I know Tara from the Babe Crafted group that I was speaking
Okay.
about before. And anytime that we need a new book now, I'm sending her messages of, "Hey, can you do a special order of this one for me?" And they're happy to order any book that you need.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, where can people find out more about growing your team, what you offer, and basically how can they connect with you?
Yeah, so my website is growingyourteam.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Growing Your Team. And if you want to reach out to me directly, you can reach out to me at jamie@growingyourteam.com. I also run the Growing Your Team podcast. So if you want to listen to a few episodes about hiring or leading a team, that you can find pretty much on all the major podcast platforms or at growingyourteam.com/podcast.
Perfect. And the good news is for people who were busy in the car and didn't want to write while they were driving, all of that will be in the episode notes. Just go to your favorite podcast player and you'll be able to see all of that stuff there. Jamie, thank you so much for joining me today. And I really appreciate getting to learn more about growing your team and getting to know somebody who's kind of in the same position that I am. And we actually have a lot of the same, we're kind of in the same area from the solopreneur to about 10 in terms of the size of a business that we serve. And it's been fantastic getting to know more about what you do here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, you did it. You've just listened to Hustleburg. Hustleburg is produced by Beyond Your Side Hustle, where we help you craft an awesome strategy for your business and build a community that supports you today and in the future. We help budding entrepreneurs go beyond their side hustle and into the business they're dreaming of. If we provided you with something valuable with this podcast, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast player, especially you Apple Podcast listeners. This is something that only takes a few seconds that will help us shine the spotlight on all the great businesses St. Pete has to offer and grow our community. Speaking of great businesses here in St. Pete, if you're a small business owner here and you'd like to share the story of your business with the Hustleburg community, please let us know by visiting beyondyoursidehustle.com/podcast guest. Did you know that at Beyond Your Side Hustle, we're helping small business owners reach ideal engagement on any social media platform with a free 3-week training by email? It's available for you at beyondyoursidehustle.com/3 weeks. You can also find a link for it in the show notes. Start right now to learn how you can fix your feed to serve you, start engaging on social the right way, and create a community around you and your business. The opening music in this episode is Defining Your Dreams by my friend Rhymer Educator. I encourage you to check him out on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to great music. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to sharing with you how we do business in the Burg.